Okay, now we're ready, right? Hi everyone, welcome to Deadhouse.
We're back for a bonus video.
Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. Today we are here to talk about Series 2000, Slappy's Nightmare. So this one's a bit different from our other Goosebumps books.
And it's not part of the Slappy digression that we took. It was completely bonus.
Completely bonus, because we know the Series 2000 ones are hard to get. We know the ebook versions of them are not as common.
No.
And the books themselves are even harder to get a hold of. This one actually took me a while to get.
And I didn't find it.
She didn't, no. So I read it and Jennifer didn't. So this is going to be a fun experience. I mean, she could have borrowed it and read it, but what was really the point? It's just a bonus. This is just a thing for fun.
I'll sit here and eat my popcorn, ask questions.
Yeah, so she'll be live time viewer interaction. So this was number 23 in Series 2000. So it was one of the last books, if not the last book in the series. I would have to double check that. No, the last book in the series, definitely not, because it says number 24, Earth Geeks Must Go is the next book. But one of the last few books in this series.
And just look at how Slappy has changed on the cover. It's a very different portrayal of Slappy.
It is, and this is from 1999. It was first printed November 1999.
And the other one was from 2013.
Yeah, so Slappy's appearance has definitely changed quite a bit.
And that could be with the cartooning that has changed over the years.
Well, and that's it. Art styles have changed and refined and gotten different from what they used to be, especially for kids' books. There's a certain style now that's more often done than the more illustrative. I mean, we want to look at a natural progression followed by so things change a lot.
Yes.
And this one is pretty interesting because it starts us off with Jimmy O. James, our old pal from Bride of. Keep coming back to that book, man. And despite the fact that this book comes after Bride of, chronologically in the numbering system.
Okay.
It's set prior to the events of Bride of.
Oh, so it's like a prequel.
Yeah.
Cool.
Although not as prequel as I would have liked it to be. It starts off with Jimmy getting a crate. And he's delivered this strange crate, and Slappy's ordering him around, and Jimmy's telling Slappy he's sick of him, and he's gonna get rid of him. And this crate is Hal. And inside this crate is Slappy's mysterious twin brother. That we've never heard about.
Ever.
Especially since his other non-identical twin, this is an identical twin, was wood in the first book. They were both carved from the same coffin wood, remember?
Yes.
So, don't know where this identical twin has come from.
The legend thickens.
Yes. That's one way to put it. And he says to Slappy that he's issuing him a challenge, and he has to do 3 good deeds by a certain amount of time, or he's gonna use his twin to take over for him, and his twin is gonna dispose of him, and he'll go to sleep forever.
Slappy is going to explode.
Yeah, so
3 nice things.
3 nice deeds. And like I said, somehow him, the twin being activated drains Slappy's evil powers and makes one more alive than the other. Somehow they're connected that way. It's not really overly explained. It's very vague.
It's kind of like they're both draining from the same energy source, and if one drains more, then that takes away from the other one.
I guess. Like I said, no real explanation. It didn't matter for wood, but we're running with it.
Alright.
And while giving a performance, they meet these girls. Last name Boonshoft. And they kind of enter Jimmy O. James' room the same way the twins do in Bride of. And how they just sort of like stumble up to his room and like knock on the door. But it's because Stella, no, it's because Georgia, sorry. Stella is her younger sister. It's because Georgia is super interested in dummies and she wants to meet the famous Jimmy O. James who's been touring. And we do know he does tour. Yep. That was confirmed in Bride of.
Yep.
He says, hey, I've got 2 of these now. If you really love them, why don't you have this old one I don't want to use?
Trying to get rid of his dummy, take 1.
Right. So he gives Slappy to Georgia. And while he's with Georgia, he has to do 3 good deeds. You see where this is going, right?
I'm picturing like this dummy going down like the hallway of the house, bickering and sputtering with himself, cursing out his twin brother.
And essentially, yes, that's exactly what happens.
Sweet.
Essentially. Partway through, we're at chapter 10. The story becomes all about Georgia.
Okay.
And the different things that go on in her household and how Slappy is slowly coming to life and doing things. And we go through all of the usual Slappy bad things, except it's Slappy cleaning up and doing nice things and somebody coming in and ruining Slappy's good work and making the destruction that Slappy would have normally made. So like the first thing that happens is Georgia's supposed to clean her room. And like every kid, she procrastinates and she's doing this project and that project and she's wanting to practice with Slappy and
everything but.
Yeah, and so she's going to get in trouble if she doesn't. So Slappy's like, perfect, first good deed. I'm going to clean this room.
Perfect.
And he does. Actually, spick and spans it.
How does Slappy even know how to do the reverse that he always does?
Probably because he does the reverse all the time.
Touché.
And of course, you know, he's like, perfect, good deed, one and done. And then wakes up to find curtains shredded. Like, everything he'd done undone because he wakes up to George's screams. And like, her room was worse than before. Like, total hurricane hit it. Like, paint, everything.
Oh my god.
So, the setup is that it's the sister.
Oh, the sister's evil?
The younger sister is jealous, right?
Oh, okay.
Trying to get back at the older sister. The usual setup we've got here. And it even like gave you a little illusion where like she's painting in her sister's room on her sister's desk the night before and things like this. So it's always showing that like Stella is maybe having problems and they think maybe Stella is disturbed. And then there's an incident with she goes to perform with Slappy and it doesn't go as planned. And Stella tries to blame Slappy pushing this kid in a wheelchair that she's performing for downhill.
Oh my god.
At her house. Because like she's broken her leg, the kid.
Yeah.
And it's one of George's friends and like close neighbors. So she goes over and Stella insists on coming with her because Stella keeps claiming the dummy's alive. And the kid gets pushed down the hill.
Oh, that'd be terrifying.
And Stella says, oh, I saw Slappy standing at the top of the hill, but Slappy was staying lit in the grass where he left. So obviously, who did Stella see? You can figure it out. You can figure it out. It's the twin. It's always been the twin.
Yeah.
But then we also see signs of Stella sneaking around, and like it's her footprints in the mud and it's her hat at the edge of a window, and
okay.
So everything comes to head at school. And Slappy doesn't give a crap about doing his good deeds anymore because they're constantly being undone. Because this isn't the only instance. There's a lot where there's a lot of things going wrong.
Yeah, the tables have turned. Instead of people trying to do good and Slappy ruining it, now he's at the ruining end. And he can't take it.
And he can't take it anymore. And so he puts on this big display in front of all the kids at school where he jumps to life. It's the first time George has seen him alive. So she's shocked. All the kids are shocked. There's panic. He bolts across the room because he sees this hat going by in the background of Stella's, and pulls it through the window, and it's his twin. So then the two of them tumble through the window into the school and like roll around the lunchroom and cafeteria and make a mess of all the food, and Slappy gets hit with like hot macaroni over his head from like this cheesy macaroni they've got going on. Yeah, it's kind of terrible and hilarious.
So it's kind of like similar to when Slappy had another fight with a dummy. Was it the Bride of that he was fighting with, or was it...
He fought with Bride of, but he fought with Wood too.
Yeah, I'm thinking Wood, because Wood cracked Slappy's skull and like a little worm or something came out, didn't he?
Oh,
Or was that...
that wasn't Wood, that was her original dummy.
Okay.
Remember that she had where the head kept falling off?
Yes.
And her younger brother that was book 3, and her younger brother, book 3, book 2, and her younger brother was supposed to pretend to be that dummy and come in, but he never woke up, so her actual dummy came in.
I don't remember what book it was, but I remember
that was book 2, and then the worm goes in the wall.
Yeah.
That was book 2.
Okay, well that's what that fight scene reminds me of.
Sort of. So with more soup and macaroni.
And less worms.
And anyways, Georgia instantly recovers from like being shocked and being hit and being in this fight, and is like putting an end to it. Like, she's got some real, like, she's made of tough stuff. And I was gonna say some real moxie, but then I like changed metaphor partway through. I don't know why. And she just goes for it and like rips them apart and grabs Slappy and tosses them down the garbage disposal. Because they have this really big giant garbage disposal for some reason.
In the school cafeteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he gets chopped to little pieces. So you would think no more Slappy, right?
No.
It was all a dream. Don't you know it's all a dream?
It was Slappy's worst nightmare. He had to do 3 nice things.
Right. You get it. But then the book ends just the way it started. And Jimmy O. James gets delivered this mysterious crate. And he reads these yellow papers and he says, "Now I'm going to get rid of you, Slappy."
Dum dum dum.
So it starts the same as Slappy's dream.
That's kind of cool.
/ ends.
That's kind of cool.
Which is kind of neat. It makes it a little better.
I like that it used the Jimmy O. James. Is it Jimmy O. James or Jimmy O. Rourke? I like the character. I'm like that the character was brought forward.
It's Jimmy O. James, isn't it? Or is it Jimmy O. Have I been saying his name wrong this whole time? It's Jimmy O. Rourke. No, it's Jimmy O. James.
Okay. So I like that character was brought forward from the other one, and this is a prequel.
Yeah, and I like that we see him trying to get rid of Slappy. And it was obviously unsuccessful.
This time.
Yes. Because, like, what's the worst possible thing you could make Slappy do? It's 3 good deeds.
Yeah.
And maybe Slappy was just having premonitions.
Maybe.
But anyway, it does a cyclical loop kind of thing. So, like, it's almost like a never-ending story. Like, this is the song that never ends, and it goes on, my friends.
So, this is the first time in the series with Slappy that we had a book end the way it began, and a prequel.
Yes.
2 new things.
That we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty interesting that it does that.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun because it was all the usual Slappy notes, but you got to see a lot of humor with it. Like, this is a really good example of R.L. Stine not caring about canon and just having fun with his writing and his own characters and poking a bit of fun at himself like he usually does by going through all of the regular Slappy things but making them the reverse and making this like the worst thing Slappy could have to deal with is trying to do good deeds.
It sounds like a good read.
It was pretty fun. Super quick.
Yep.
Georgia was a very charming character. It was nice that Stella, while kind of horrid, wasn't an irredeemable character. She actually was trying to look out for Georgia and protect her, as it turns out. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's good.
That was a good read, and a good way, I think, to cap off
the Slappy series.
Yeah, and everything to do with dummies. Because we're moving on now, folks.
In the rearview mirror. Let's go.
So now that we've hit the end, here's a fun thing. What's your favorite Slappy book? We've looked at a lot.
We have looked at a lot.
It's hard to remember them all.
I would have to say, it was book 2 that you said was the worm one. I really liked that scene, so I'm going to go with that book.
There was a lot I really liked about the second book too.
Yeah.
In fact, I think for me, it's constantly a competition whether or not it's going to be the first book or the second book that was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're both super good books. I mean, I would put them both as, like, tied for first.
Mm-hmm.
Book 3 would probably come next. Then I would say the one where she buries Slappy in the graveyard.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that would be like number 3 for me, I think.
Okay.
On the list. If we're tying 2 for first place, then that's my number 3 slot.
Well, that one would be my number 2 then. I didn't really like Bride of.
No, there were aspects of Bride of that were good, but overall that was kind of a rougher one. While Son of Slappy was really fun, I definitely rank it higher than Bride of.
Yes.
But I wouldn't put it high up on my list.
But the Slappy series, definitely better than Monster Blood.
Yeah, it's consistently been better than Monster Blood. With Monster Blood, it kind of felt like it was running out of steam.
Yeah.
Whereas with Slappy, and probably because it's his favorite one to write, R.L. Stine continually comes up with interesting ways of presenting the same information that doesn't get too stale or too boring.
And he needs to have some consistency. Like, I know it's repetitive to, talk about the curse and then have Slappy do the same paint and, like, the spewing green vomit and the bad deeds and the name calling, like the verbal attacks. But, like, that is Slappy's character. He needs to include at least some, if not all of those, to define character.
Yes, but I don't think he needs to hit all those notes every time.
No.
Very seldom has he left out 1 or 2 little things, but usually he hits most, if not all of them. And I feel like after the first couple books, you only need to hit like a couple of those things. You know what I mean?
That could be consistency though for kids.
Yeah, it might be.
For the audience.
Also, if it's your first Slappy book that you're picking up, you might not realize that he usually does all of these things, because chances are kids aren't reading these in order, they're picking up random ones and
whatever they can get their hands on.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we read them.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's pretty interesting series overall. I find in this series with the children, they're very well portrayed. They're very much believable kids. The way it explores childhood relationships and growing up and everything is always really good. Like, R.L. Stine has a very good sense of how kids mature, and he also has a really good sense of how to present the horror around that in ways that it's like relatable for children. It's really well done.
Yeah.
Alright, I think that's pretty much it until we go to our next book. I hope you enjoyed this little bonus.
That's our next one.
Number 8, The Girl Who Cried Monster.
I haven't read this one. I didn't even own this one as a child.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
No spoilers.
No spoilers here. Spoiler free.
But if you want to comment on the Slappy's Nightmare, if you've read it and you've got comments, hit us up on Twitter at hashtag GBC Ghost Next Door.
And we can find you on Twitter as
coffee_with_Jen with 1 N, and
I'm a glitter macaroon with 1 T and 2 O's. And while we do Slappy's, while we do The Girl Who Cried Monster, we're going to follow that up with a little bonus segment, because I've got the TV adaptation book. And this is going to be an interesting one to do, because R.L. Stine has said that the reason the first season of Goosebumps is the episodes it is because it's all of his favorites.
Sweet.
And he starts the season off with this one. So we thought this would be a good bonus TV book, especially since I had a copy, for us to cover, just because it's got some special significance for R.L. Stine.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we will see you in the new year with The Girl Who Cried Monster. And until then, reader beware.
You're in for a scare.
Okay, we did all that time. We're good.
We're good.